This man lived in a 10-foot shack, off the grid, no water, no electricity, for nearly 2 decades. He terrorized a nation with homemade bombs. This is the story of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and it's way darker than you remember. You're watching Dark Pulse. Hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. So imagine this. It's the middle of World War II. The world is busy punching itself in the face with bombs. And in Chicago, Illinois, a baby is born. Theodore John Kaczynski, Ted. Cute kid, big brain, like, really big. His parents, working class, Polish American, decent folks. Dad works in a sausage factory. Not a metaphor, he literally worked with meat. But Ted, he's not into sausage. He's into science. By age 2, kids already reading. By age 6, correcting adults. By age 8, so smart. He makes calculators look dumb. But here's where it twists. Ted's not just smart. He's off. Socially, the lights are on, but no one's answering the door. Teachers say he's emotionally distant. No friends. Barely talks. Stares into space like he's planning something. Spoiler alert. He was. 5th grade. Genius level tests. Like, please leave the planet. You're too advanced kind of genius. IQ? Estimated between 165 and 170. Einstein level. Except instead of changing physics, Ted would one day blow stuff up. So naturally, they skip him ahead. Twice. That's right. Now he's a 12-year-old stuck in a class with 14 and 15-year-olds. Puberty versus breakout. That'll mess you up faster than a pop quiz on a Monday. And guess what? He ends up in Harvard at age 16. Harvard. At 16, when most kids are learning to drive and getting acne, Ted's attending lectures on symbolic logic, living in a dorm full of older students, away from home, in a socially isolated vacuum. It's like dropping a cactus into a rainforest and expecting it to swim. But it gets worse, because Harvard, in all its Ivy League wisdom, signed him up for a psychological study. Sounds harmless, right? Fill out some forms, answer questions. Nope. Welcome to MK Ultra Jr. Enter Dr. Henry A. Maury, Exos intelligence guy. This was the golden age of Cold War paranoia, when experiments meant, how badly can we mess up the human mind without actually killing someone? The study, students wrote essays about their deepest beliefs and philosophies. Then, they ambushed them. Verbal combat. A guy in a suit read your essay out loud, then tore it to pieces, insulted you, made you defend your soul, all while electrodes monitored your stress. Not once or twice, hours per week, for 3 years. And Ted, perfect subject. Young, isolated, fragile, brilliant. It's like poking a tiger cub with a stick, over and over. Then shock when it bites. That's when things started to crack. Ted didn't talk about this study, ever, not to his family, not in letters, not even in later ramblings about modern society's evils. But his brother David later said, Harvard damaged him. And maybe it did, because when Ted graduated, he didn't celebrate. No friends, no parties, no congrats, you made it. He just moved on, like a ghost wearing a cap and gown. He enrolled in University of Michigan for his PhD in math. Academically, monster. His dissertation, so advanced that barely anyone understood it. Not joking, his committee literally said, this is above us. Like, math that makes your brain leak out your ears. Socially, still dead air. He lived alone in a tiny apartment. Peeling walls. Zero furniture. Same clothes every day. Never went out. When he spoke, clipped. Cold. Robotic. No eye contact. No smiles. Just formulas and silence. And still, nobody saw it coming. Nobody thought this walking calculator would one day declare war on society. Nobody thought this mild-mannered math nerd was silently building years of rage, paranoia, and obsession. But he was. And just like that, boom, we're one step closer to the man the FBI would one day call the Unabomber. So, Ted finishes his PhD. He's got the mathematical firepower of a nuclear reactor and the social skills of a microwave. He lands a job, big one. You see, Berkeley, prestigious, respected. But for Ted, just another stop on the slow descent into madness. He teaches for 2 years, barely talks to anyone, ignores students like they're contagious. Then -1969. Boom. He quits. No warning, no explanation. Just gone. Vanished. Like chalk dust on a blackboard. Why? Because Ted didn't want tenure. He wanted silence, or more like total human isolation. He tells his family, I want a simple life. Translation, retreat from civilization, prepare for war, against machines, against progress, against us. So he moves with his brother to rural Montana. And when I say rural, I mean bears outnumber people kind of rural. Ted buys a cabin, 10 by 12 feet. No electricity, no water, no heat, no phone, just Ted, the trees, and his thoughts. And the cabin? He builds it himself. Scrap wood, a saw, 2 hands. Totally normal behavior for a former Ivy League professor spiraling into madness. At first, it's quiet. He chops wood, eats squirrels, grows vegetables, and he writes pages, and pages, and pages. His journal isn't a diary, it's a manifesto in disguise. Greater than. Human beings have become cogs in a vast industrial machine. Society is a prison. Technology is the warden. It's dark. It's intense. It's disturbingly clear. But peace doesn't last. Civilization creeps in. Developers arrive. Bulldozers, chainsaws, power lines. Steel teeth. Biting the forest. And Ted flips. He sneaks out at night. Vandalizes equipment. Cuts wires. Pours sugar into gas tanks. No deaths. Not yet. But the anger's there. Boiling. And in his mind, he's not the villain. He's the prophet. The last sane man in a world addicted to screens. A lone wolf. While the rest of us scroll through cat memes. Between 1971 and 1977, Ted changes. He's no longer a recluse. He's radicalizing. Quietly. Deliberately. He writes essays about how to dismantle society, one human at a time. And worse, he starts testing bombs. Small ones. Crude, but real. He practices on trees, on metal, on barrels. He writes down the results. Chemical reactions, detonation timing, pressure, every failure, a lesson, every success, a step closer. And the scariest part? He's patient. Years go by. Nobody suspects him. Locals call him that weird guy in the shack. They wave. He nods, then goes back inside to build hate by candlelight. Until one day, 1978, Ted decides it's time. Not time for tea. Not time for reflection. It's time to blow up the system literally. He builds his first bomb like it's a science project straight from hell. June 1978. A package shows up at Northwestern University. It's addressed to one professor, supposedly sent by another. But here's the twist, both names? Completely fake. Ted mailed a bomb to himself using someone else's identity. He left it out in the open, walked away, and waited. A campus security guard picks it up, opens it. Boom! Smoke. Noise. Panic. The guard survives minor injuries, badly shaken. But Ted? He's just taking notes. Materials. Timing. Outcome. This wasn't random. It was a field test and it worked. No fingerprints. No trace. Just handmade fragments salvaged from odds and ends. Picture MacGyver, mixed with Satan, working in a shed. And that? Just to warm up. Fast forward to May 1979. Less than a year later, another bomb, same university. Target this time? A man named John Harris. A graduate student opens it. Gets hurt. Bleeding. Still, no suspect. Nothing. Now Ted shifts gears. Professors? Not enough. He wants planes. Flying ones. November 15, 1979. American Airlines Flight 444. Chicago to Washington, D.C. Mid-flight, a package in the cargo hold starts hissing. Then smoke. A lot of it. The cabin fills. Panic spreads. Pilots are forced into an emergency landing. 12 passengers get hospitalized for smoke inhalation. So what happened? Someone built a barometric-triggered bomb, one designed to detonate at altitude. Luckily, it malfunctioned, because if it hadn't, we'd be talking about a national tragedy. This is when the FBI finally wakes up. They create a task force, give the suspect a nickname, Unabomber, short for University and Airline Bomber. They still don't know who he is. No name, no face, just the aftermath. Wires, batteries, handmade boxes, zero DNA. Meanwhile, Ted, he's sitting in his cabin, reading books, writing manifestos, whittling sticks like Bob Ross. If Bob Ross made homemade bombs, from 1980 to 1985, he keeps going. One package goes to a United Airlines executive, another to a computer store owner, another to a university official. Injuries pile up, fingers lost, faces burned. The bombs get nastier. Then 1985, Ted crosses the line. His first fatality, Hugh Scruton, store owner, Sacramento. The man picks up a package outside his shop, opens it, and dies instantly. Shrapnel rips through his chest. It's brutal, clean, deliberate. The FBI sees the scene and says, "This isn't random. This is someone who knows what the hell they're doing." And they're right. By now, Ted's a craftsman. Every device is more than just dangerous, it's a signature. Serial numbers, burned off parts, handmade. Clues, planted on purpose, misleading on purpose. Sometimes, he even carves FC into his work. Nobody knows what it means. But Ted does. Oh. Ted absolutely does. While the FBI pulls its hair out in offices full of manila folders, Ted is sharpening his real weapon, his message. Because by now, he's more than angry. He's convinced. He has a philosophy, a mission, and yet he's willing to take lives to prove it. And soon, he'll make sure the whole world hears it. So yeah, Ted's out here turning pipe bombs into fan mail. But now, he doesn't just want to blow people up. He wants to be heard. By the early 90s, the body count's rising. His bombs? Deadlier. His targets? Suspiciously specific. He's not just going after tech guys anymore now, it's geneticists, a computer store owner, a PR executive, basically, anyone tied to the machine he hates. Industrial progress. It's like he's got a hit list written in binary and blood. 1993. Boom, boom, 2 bombs go off days apart. The first hits David Galernder, a Yale professor. Brilliant guy. He survives, but barely. The second, Charles Epstein, a geneticist in California, loses parts of his fingers, and while the FBI's out here sweating bullets, Ted's typing. That same year, he sends a letter to the New York Times, signs it FC, says he represents a group. Spoiler. There's no group, just Ted, alone in his cabin, plotting the apocalypse. And here's the offer. Not money, not freedom, no hostages. He wants them to publish his 35,000-word manifesto. That's right, 35,000 words. Basically, if you let me rant about how society sucks, maybe I'll stop blowing stuff up. And if not, he threatens to take down another plane. Casual. The letter is cold, calculated, terrifying, and the FBI goes, wait, this guy can write. Because the manifesto? It's not gibberish. It's sharp. It's dense. It's angry. It's like a PhD thesis, wrapped in barbed wire. Title: Industrial Society and Its Future. And Ted's message: technology has enslaved humanity. Freedom is gone. And the only fix? Burn the system to the ground. Revolution. This isn't some edgy forum post. It's a fully loaded philosophy written by a guy who literally kills for his ideas. Now imagine you're sitting in the Washington Post newsroom. Phone rings. FBI says, so hey, a domestic terrorist wants to publish a philosophy essay in your newspaper. Or else. Cool. So after months of debate between journalists, feds, and way too many lawyers, they decide, let's print it. Maybe someone will recognize the style. September 19, 1995, the Washington Post publishes the Unabomber manifesto. In full, millions read it. Some agree. Some think it's the rant of a madman. Most are just asking, who the hell wrote this? And then, one guy does recognize it. Not just the ideas, the voice, the patterns. His name? David Kaczynski, Ted's little brother. David Kaczynski is flipping through the Washington Post when he lands on that article. The manifesto, 35,000 words of doom, gloom, and tech hate. And something hits him like a math book to the face. This sounds familiar. He shows it to his wife, Linda. She reads a few paragraphs, frowns, reads more. Then she looks up and says, greater than, David, your brother wrote this. Boom. Right there. Not a maybe, not a HMM, a conviction. David's stomach turns inside out like a bad sushi roll. He starts pulling out old letters from Ted, stuff he hadn't looked at in years. Same phrasing, same pacing, same weird obsession with the collapse of society. Now imagine the emotional whiplash. You're reading a terrorist's words and realizing they came from the same hand that gave you wedgies as a kid. So what do? You panic. David doesn't want his brother dead. He doesn't want him jailed for life either. But the math is amazing. Same writing, same worldview, same crazy, off-the-grid genius who vanished into the woods decades ago. So David contacts a lawyer, a calm, collected, I have to turn in my brother, but I don't want him shot kind of lawyer. They go to the FBI with a stack of Ted's old letters. The FBI's like, HMM, interesting. Then, a week later, greater than holy crap, this might actually be our guy. They dig deeper. Linguistic analysts match phrases. Cool-headed logician disruption of the power process, even the bizarre use of double hyphens. Nobody writes like that except Ted freaking Kaczynski. So the feds set up surveillance. They learn Ted still lives in that creepy cabin in Montana, off the grid, alone, armed. They prep a SWAT team for a raid, but carefully, like they're dealing with a woodland wizard who builds death machines out of spoons. April 3, 1996. The cabin is surrounded. FBI agents approach slow, quiet, tactical. They knock. Ted opens the door wearing dirty clothes, wild hair, a full-on "I've been screaming at trees" beard. He looks confused, not angry, not scared, just like he expected this day to come. Inside, chaos. The place is 12 by 10 feet of pure, weaponized introversion. piles of books, chemical jars, dozens of notebooks go to journals documenting every bomb he ever built. They find a live bomb under the bed fully assembled, ready to ship. They find his tools, his wires, his kill list, his manifesto drafts. But the most disturbing part? The cabin was quiet, peaceful, still, like evil had brewed itself into tea and fallen asleep. They cuff him. No fight, no grand speech, just a mutter under his breath. Greater than I told them this would happen.
So they got him. After 17 years, 16 bombs, 3 murders, and 1 absolutely unhinged philosophy degree, the FBI bags the Unabomber like he's a limited edition Pokémon. News spreads faster than a cat video in 2007. Ted Kaczynski arrested in Montana. The world is like, wait, that guy? The dirty hermit in the cabin? The guy who looks like he argues with squirrels? Yup, that guy. He doesn't look like a terrorist. No accent. No militia. No manifesto screamed into a camera. Just a smelly math wizard who built bombs next to a wood-burning stove. And the more they dig into his life, the weirder it gets. He kept detailed journals every bomb, every target, every twisted thought. He used typewriters, not computers. He tracked media coverage of his own attacks like a serial killer checking Yelp reviews. The FBI is shocked by how much he documented blueprints, maps, bomb components, chemical formulas. It's like if Pinterest had a board called Home Decor for domestic terrorists. But here's the kicker Ted didn't crack. Under questioning, he stayed quiet, cold, robotic. He knew the game was over, but he also knew one thing: I'm not crazy. And this becomes the center of the legal storm. His lawyers want to go full insanity defense, claim he's mentally ill, schizophrenic, that no sane person writes technology is a cancer while building bombs in a shack. But Ted, he's offended, refuses. He tells them, I'm not mentally ill. I'm morally right. Brew. That's either the deepest thing you've ever heard or the most terrifying. The prosecutors are drooling. They've got the bomber. They've got the evidence. They've got witnesses, the manifesto, and enough bomb parts to start a small war. So they push for the death penalty, but Ted's lawyers fight back, hard. They say, look, he's obviously disturbed, but this guy is brilliant. Let him rot in prison. No need to make him a martyr. The government thinks it over. And in 1998, Ted pleads guilty to all charges. He avoids the death penalty. He gets 8 life sentences, no parole. And just like that, the most brilliant mailman of mass destruction in American history is locked up for good. Adx Florence, a federal supermax in Colorado, also known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. This place holds the worst of the worst: cartel lords, terrorists, mob bosses, and now, one barefoot philosopher in a jumpsuit. But here's the weird part: Ted didn't disappear into the concrete. Nope, he kept writing. Letters, essays, even books. Because apparently bombing the world wasn't enough, he wanted to haunt it too.
Adx Florence isn't a prison, it's a black hole with plumbing. And that's where Ted Kaczynski lands. Cell 13. No windows, no noise, no human contact. 23 hours a day in a concrete box. The other hour, in a cage they call the yard, which is just more concrete. But guess what? Ted thrives. No distractions, no small talk, just silence. Books and paper. He keeps writing like he's on a deadline from the devil. He answers fan mail. Yeah, you read that right. People write to him. Philosophy students, anti-tech radicals, college kids with more opinions than experience. And Ted, he writes back, in long, handwritten letters, neatly, calmly, with that cold intellect that once wired bombs. In 2010, a collection of his letters and essays is published as a book, Technological Slavery, because apparently, if you kill 3 people and injure dozens, you still get an author page on Amazon. And people read it. Some agree, some hate it, some treat him like a prophet, others treat him like the Joker with the PhD. TV shows start referencing him. True crime podcasts milk the story. There's a whole subreddit just for his manifestos. And yeah, there are Unabomber t-shirts now, because late-stage capitalism is nothing if not ironic. But Ted isn't laughing. In that cell, he watches the world become exactly what he warned about. People glued to screens, AI taking over, humanity trading its soul for convenience and TikTok filters. And slowly, his body starts breaking down. By 2021, Ted is diagnosed with late-stage cancer. He stops writing. The letters fade. Even his followers go quiet. It's like the world moved on, while he remained frozen in that cold. Concrete thought bubble. And then, June 10, 2023, Ted Kaczynski is found dead in his prison cell. Suicide, according to reports. A life that began with mathematical brilliance ends with a hand on his own throat. No bombs, no final message, just silence. He was 81, and for the first time in decades, the world stopped hearing from the man who once demanded it listen. So now he's gone, dead in a concrete tomb, buried in paperwork and memory. No last words, no manifesto sequel, just a ghost. And yet Ted Kaczynski might be more alive today than ever. He's in documentaries, in podcasts, in edgy Twitter threads by 22-year-olds who think being antisocial makes you deep. There's merch, there's memes, there's probably a kid in Brooklyn right now wearing a Unabomber hoodie ironically, while ordering DoorDash from his iPhone, because that's the world Ted hated, and ironically, it embraced him. Was he insane? Probably. Was he brilliant? Definitely. Was he right? Now that's the question. Look, no sane person justifies murder. No manifesto is worth blood. But every once in a while, a madman stares at the same world we do and sees something terrifying. Ted looked at our highways, our shopping malls, our factory farms, and our glowing rectangles, and saw a prison. One we built, one we decorated, and then forgot we were inside. That doesn't make him a hero. It makes him a mirror. The scariest thing about Ted Kaczynski isn't that he mailed bombs. It's that some of his predictions are coming true. Loss of privacy, addiction to tech, loss of autonomy, social disconnection in a hyper-connected world. And yet he tried to warn us. With explosions. That part matters. He didn't write op-eds. He didn't march. He killed. And for that, he earned his cage. But long after his bones turned to dust, his words still float around online, like digital landmines. Some read them with horror, some with curiosity, some with agreement, because in a world drowning in noise, sometimes the loudest voice is the one wrapped in wire, waiting to explode. He tried to stop the future by dragging us into the past. Was he a madman? Or just the only one paying attention? If this story gripped you, don't forget to subscribe. Dark Pulse is just getting started, and what's coming next is even darker.